What's up, y'all? I'm Ethan.
Hey, man, this Dwayne, man.
How you doing, everybody? My name's Gabriel.
And of course, your host, Andrew.
Yeah, we gotta have conversations like this more often.
We do. We really do.
This is better than therapy to me. This is better than therapy. Yeah.
This is therapy.
Some people really enjoy doing makeup. Like, I've met people that genuinely enjoy it. Like, they get joy from doing it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool.
It's their
like,
art.
Yeah, it's their art. Like, don't let my opinion on makeup stop you from doing what you enjoy. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to change how I feel about you. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But I do think that there's something to be said for people who do like anything, whether it's makeup or jewelry and the gym, even that, not because they enjoy it, but because they hate themselves. And I think, like, even with the gym, and it's such a like nuanced topic, because I can understand like not liking your body. I can definitely understand that as someone who's come from a place where you know, he's severely body shamed for like the color of his skin or his size or his weight. I can get that. But I do think that if you don't learn to accept who you are, then you're never going to accept who you are, no matter how much you change.
Like, you think about it, there are certain things about yourself you can change. You can change your weight. You cannot change your height. You can change the length of your hair. You cannot change the texture of your hair.
But even
regardless of what products you put into it, it's always going to revert back to its original setting.
But even when you do change it, like, the measure of change is never going to be enough. Like, if you don't learn to be satisfied with yourself, you're going to go to the gym, get strong, get in shape, but you're never going to be in enough shape to be secure. Yeah. If, like, as a woman, you know, putting on makeup and so forth, even as a man, if that's what you're into, you may do it, but it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to bring out the right features. Even with clothes, like, there's some people who are so fixated on buying clothes to match a specific look that it's like they don't, and it's like until you appreciate the way your body was created and get around the fact that you just can't change that. Like, the same way my body isn't perfectly symmetrical, and I don't have like, even if I was 2% body fat, I wouldn't have a perfectly sculpted 8-pack. It's the same way some women are not born with a perfectly measured body where the aspect ratio of hip to weight or hip to stomach isn't going to be like an hourglass. Like, just everyone isn't created looking like that. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like as people, we just have to appreciate ourselves, because when it comes to getting into a relationship, and that's another thing too, like, men are not supposed to be your daily source of feel good, and women are not supposed to be our daily source of feel good. Like, I'm not supposed to, it shouldn't be my responsibility to make you feel good about how you look. Like, I'll compliment you as a man because I want to. Yeah. And as a woman, you know, I would appreciate a compliment here every now and then. Will I be feeling some type of way if I don't ever get one compliment? Absolutely. But
the moment becomes my obligation to do that.
The moment, like, the moment that the way I feel about myself becomes attached to how you feel about me.
Don't base it off of other people's opinions.
Yeah, that becomes a problem. I don't know. I just think it's really sad that we even have to have this conversation, because when you think about it, like, relationships are supposed to be such a beautiful thing, and like, even our bodies are supposed to be such beautiful things. And I feel like we're living in a world right now where, like, everyone's so afraid. I was talking to Ethan about this, like, literally maybe a week ago. We're all so obsessed with being right that we don't even care about the truth anymore. Like, we're willing to say, you can be right, you can be right, you can be right, you can be right. Forget the truth. Whatever makes you feel good, that's right.
Well, it makes no sense, because if everybody's correct, what's the standard? How are you going to say you're right, you're wrong, when everyone has their own perspective?
When everyone's allowed to have their own truth. Yeah. Like, when everyone's allowed to say, well, this is my truth and I'm just going to accept it. Like, does that mean that if your truth is that the grass is gray, that means that your truth is right the same way my truth is the grass is green? No, the grass is green.
Exactly.
Like, that's facts. The grass is green. Like, if your truth dictates that the earth is a cube, does that mean that the earth is a cube?
No, bro. No. Show me the facts. Show me the facts.
And so it's like, I just think it's so sad, because, you know, even when it comes to like how we view ourselves, it's like Well, my truth is that, I can be, or I can look this way, and it's healthy, and it's sad because it's such a touchy topic, especially when it comes to talking about like physical appearance, because you don't know everyone and anyone's story and background. And it's like, you don't ever want to tell someone, like, I'm not the type of guy that's going to say, if you're out of shape or if you're overweight, it's because you don't want to be in shape or like healthy, because that's just not true. But I also think that you shouldn't lie to yourself just to make yourself feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Not only pertaining to your physical appearance, but also just to life in general. Like, if you know that the reason a relationship ended was because you cheated, don't try to justify you cheating with the fact that your partner was not a good partner. There's never an excuse for cheating. And sure, your partner may have been a bad partner, but you could have broken up with him and moved on in a healthy way.
Or you could have a conversation to resolve the problem.
Exactly. But I feel like, we live in a generation where everyone wants to be right, and like we started this conversation talking about, no one wants to take accountability anymore. Everyone wants to blame a circumstance or someone else, or I would do it if only conditions were ideal. Like, conditions are never going to be ideal.
When are you ever going to have a perfect circumstance?
Yeah, and it's the same
Never.
with people. This video I was watching, and this guy was like, it's like you're playing poker, right? And I'm not sure exactly how poker works. I'm not an avid poker player. I don't really gamble. I don't want to say really. I don't gamble. But the way I've seen it work is you have your cards, you're playing your hand, and the more and more the better and better you do, the more and more chips you get.
Yeah.
Right? But it gets to a point where if you keep playing, you could lose all your chips. Right? And so the problem is that the best way to play poker is you leave the game when your chips are up. Like, when you have a nice little stack of chips going for you,
It's time to
you're
dip.
doing well, that's when it's time to leave.
Yeah.
But the problem is, so many people keep thinking, I can do better. What if I just win a little more? What if I just get a little bit more chips? What if I win the next hand or whatever? You know what I'm saying? And then they keep spinning the lottery, and eventually they lose, and they don't realize that right in front of them was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And they gave it up because they kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna find better somewhere else, or I'm gonna hit big on the next go around. When really, sometimes the best thing is right in front of you.
I heard Pastor Snell say this in one of his sermons, and he was talking about marriages, and he was talking about how a lot of people complain about the marriage they're in, and they get a divorce and go try to find the man that they thought they had. They go get a man they thought that they wanted, and realize how it was one of the worst decisions they've ever made, and you can't turn back the mistake you already made.
Yeah.
So thinking you want something and thinking something is as worse as it is, and realizing when it's too late, it's already too late that you already made the mistake. So realize what you're already in is probably the best thing you could possibly be in.
Sometimes it's worth working things out.
I think when it comes to something like marriage, especially hoping that you're in a not a Christian environment, but you make the good decisions off the basis of good things. I think a lot of people forget, and not even with marriage, but with relationship. And that's why I said I think it's so important to take time before you get into a relationship, so you're getting in it for the right reason. Because when times get difficult, sometimes the only thing that will sustain you is asking yourself why you got into the relationship to begin with. Is remembering the reason that you decided to get into a relationship with someone. Because honestly, their looks aren't going to sustain you. Sometimes their personality isn't even going to sustain you, because that might be the thing that's like really ticking you off. I love that you're driven, but sometimes this drivenness comes off as stubbornness. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the only thing that can keep you going is, I got into a relationship with this person because this person challenged me to be a better person and challenged me to grow closer to God. And if that reason still stands, then you have a reason to work at your relationship. But like Dwayne said, and I think some people, they get into a situation and they keep looking for what they could have, and they keep looking and wanting more. I want more. I'm gonna ditch this good thing I have because I want better. We always think that the grass is greener, and we're always searching for that greener grass. You're always looking for better opportunities, better relationships, better jobs, better everything. And we're in this pursuit of looking for this perfect, and we don't realize that perfection doesn't exist, because perfection is something that has to be built. When it comes to relationships, like, no one's going to be perfect. Like, no one is ever there's never going to be the perfect girl. There's never going to be the perfect guy. What there always is going to be, though, is two people who are willing to work hard and build perfection. And that's why the whole idea of, if it's meant to be, it'll happen, is some of the dumbest crap I have ever heard. Because if it meant to be, it won't just happen. You have to work at it. You have to build it. You have to cultivate it. People say, if you really hate your job, that's one thing. But if it's like, I don't like my work environment, cultivate a better work environment. If your relationship is going through a rough patch, don't just quit because you feel like there's someone better.
Oh, I hear people say it shouldn't be this hard.
It should. It should
bro,
be
it
this
should.
hard. And I feel like that's just a common misnomer. Like, it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this difficult. Like,
What makes you think it's going to be easy?
nothing about joining your life to someone else's and then trying to go in the same direction is easy.
There's a quote. It's in my mom's bathroom in her first grade classroom. It's a picture of two flowers, and the stems are intertwined, and it says, "No two flowers grow in the same way." So I'm like, you're doing that. You have two separate flowers trying to grow the exact same intertwined way, and they're both growing upwards toward the sun, but they're both going two separate directions.
Yeah.
So like, you can't force someone. It's not a natural thing to be bound to somebody else. So if you're intentionally trying to do that, it's going to be a difficult process.
And I feel like a lot of times we expect them to be easy and we give up too soon. And that's why like some of the worst advice I've ever heard comes in the form of just give up, or it's not going to work out, or you guys aren't going to get through this. Because why would you believe that when your relationship gets difficult, it's just not going to work out, or you're just not going to get through it, or you should just give up and move on? Now, I do believe like there is a time when you just have to like, okay, this isn't healthy and it's time to go. But if it's just at a place where it requires you to put in more work, be patient, trust the other person, work on yourself, and that's what you have to do. Because as kids, you never really see like the hardest part of your parents' relationship.
Yeah, because they're trying to shield you from all that.
Well, not only that, but because they went through it before you were born.
Well, true, but I mean, like, say you're like 5 to 9 years old. You don't need to hear your parents screaming at each other about like, "Where's the remote? You never do anything you're supposed to be doing. Why is the dishwasher?" Like, no, like that's gonna be traumatizing to a little 9-year-old hearing their parents bickering at each other.
Yeah.
Like, is in their mind, it's like, oh, so this is what marriage is supposed to be like.
For some
and
people,
that thing is going to continue on for generations and generations. So what smart parents do, I don't want to say put on a good show.
They protect their children.
They protect their children by having, like, when they do have arguments, it's civilized. So like, you do have what's it called, conversations where yes, it's okay for them to disagree, but it's never to the point where someone is disrespected or the other person feels belittled. And if there is something like big or something, you're never in the room to hear it. Like, okay guys, it's time for the grown up to talk, so you go to your room and play your toys or something. So like, things like that, little things like that.
I was actually thinking about that a couple days ago, and I was just wondering, like, when I have my children, how would I want to raise them? I would think that I would want my kids to see how me and their mother conversate when we have two different opinions on something. That way, when they get to dealing with their friends and dealing with professors, they're able to talk and communicate and not argue.
Yeah.
There's a difference between having a conversation and arguing.
When you're arguing, someone
exactly. So that way, we'll be their example, so they know how to communicate. And that's all I was just thinking about.
I think that's one of the reasons I actually like the show I grew up on called The Cosby Show. And most importantly to me, it shows what a wholesome and connected black family could look like.